Live and okay, so Hangout is live now. I welcome you all for our first webinar on distributed sprint planning. This is a user group event, and first time we are doing a virtual user group event because we have been doing face-to-face user group events in many cities, but now this time we thought of let's try something live. And when I thought of doing a distributed Hangout, I thought of let's pick a topic which also matches with the distributed sprint. So that's why I picked up the distributed sprint planning as a first topic. So let's keep the topic focused on sprint planning. Let's not talk about other challenges which are faced by the distributed team. And we will follow a structure where people can introduce themselves. They can talk about what they have faced while they have been doing distributed sprint planning. They can talk about some of the changes which they have done in their sprint planning after doing retrospective on something working, on something is not working. So in a sequence, I have Vaku as a first, then Sakshi, then Shaikat, then Narendra, and then finally Madhvi. So let's start from Vaku.
Hi, good evening, friends. My name is Vakku. Been in around in Agile for about 4 years. Been in the industry for about 15 years. Currently playing the role of product owner. Yes, I do have a distributed team. So as a PO, I'm here in Bangalore, and my product owner, or rather the chief PMO office, is located in Netherlands, and tech lead is also in Netherlands. So that would mean that the remaining team is in Bangalore. So I do have lots of challenges to get this rolling every sprint. So going forward, we could share those. So that's me. So
yeah,
we will discuss it more specifically.
Thank you, Sakshi. Your turn.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Sakshi Mahajan. I've been into the IT industries for more than 10 years now. Working in Agile, wearing different hats since 5-6 years. Being a developer, a Scrum Master, a product owner, an Agile coach, a project manager. I've done it all, and would like to share my experience here with all of you, where we've worked with different models of distributed teams. Maybe the team is not co-located, the development team is not co-located, or the development team is co-located, but the product owner is not with them. So we can discuss the challenges while sprint planning, whatever challenges come for the team when such scenarios come in.
Great.
Thank you.
So yeah, great. So this is an interview round, like our introduction round. Once the introduction round is over, then we will have a 3-4 minutes time period where you talk about the particular distributed sprint, your take on it. Okay, Shaikat, your turn.
Look.
I think you are muted. Yeah, now I think you can speak, Shaikat. Some issue. Let you explore your thing. Let's go to Narendra, and then we come back to Shaikat after that. Yes, Narendra.
Yeah, hi guys, hi everyone. Very good evening. This is Narendra. I've been into the industry for more than 8 years now, and been following Agile for 5 years plus now. And I am a certified Scrum Master, and I've been kind of playing a role of a Scrum Master for the offshore team. So we have got it's a distributed team as well as the on-site as well as the offshore. So I've been playing the Scrum Master for the offshore team, and also the kind of coordinating with the onshore team. So we will discuss the further things and the planning items that I wanted to bring in up here. Thank you.
Great. Madhvi, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, Saket. Hi everyone, I am Madhvi, and coming to my industry experience, I have around 14 years of IT experience, out of which 6 years is my Agile experience. I have taken different roles in my career, started as a software developer, then worked as a project leader, Scrum Master, project manager, and then now I am finally working as an Agile consultant. So I've worked with a couple of distributed teams, and I'll be glad today to share my experiences with you all and also learn from you all as to how you dealt with the different challenges that you faced while working with your teams. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhvi. Shwaikat, now just give it a try. Not working. I think some technical error. No, no. Okay, so we proceed. If you fix this, then we will have a interaction as well as the discussion forward. Okay, so a note for the audience who are watching this particular Hangout, you have a Q&A app where you can post your queries. So as people talk about their distributed Scrum model, they talk about their sprint planning. If you have any specific queries, use the Q&A app, which you can see in your left panel. Click there, write the question, and this question, these questions would be visible to all of us, and we would be answering them in a sequence. You can also plus the questions. So if something you like and you want the panel to answer first, you can upvote it. Yes. So Vaku, start with your experience, model, whatever you want to give a start with.
So good evening again, team. So I have a model in which I've just discussing with Saket just before this hangout, in which the program backlog gets filled into my product backlog. So I mean, it's a 2-week sprints which we follow, and every time during the sprint planning, it's a challenge for me to make sure the stories are ready to be picked up. So what happens is, over the sprint, what I do is I generally discuss with, we have a group of product owners, which is offshore again. So we discuss with them, and there may be certain representatives for certain business. So business analysis comes in. So I have my regular discussions which happens with them. So that is one stage at which I basically groom the stories, get some more clarity. Now in the second stage, what happens is that, as I said, my team is co-located. I have my tech lead in a remote location, and the rest of the team over here. So I have regular interactions with my tech lead. Every day we interact half an hour to just to be in sync on the items which is on the plate, or rather, which is going to be picked up for the next 2 sprints. And for sprint planning, it is for sure we have it with the complete team. So we have one session before, I have a session with the tech lead before which I'll explain these are the things which will be picked up by the team for this sprint. So that is working well for now. Yeah, obviously there's time constraint, geographic constraints, all those things come in place, but I make sure items to be picked up for the next sprint is addressed well in advance with my tech lead, because he's only one person who is in the remote location. So as a sprint planning goes, so we divide into 2 sessions. The first session is where I give my priorities and explain the team what is expected. And so since I am in sync with tech lead, who is also present in the sprint planning meeting, so it makes it easier. So team picks up the stories, they go get the task done up. So on a normal course, this is what happens. Now there are times at which the stories are not groomed enough, and details are not there. So that is obvious. I assume that happens everywhere. Although the ideal situation is that we need to have it ready to be picked up. So that has happened. So challenges which I face is obviously communication. We need to get everyone at the same time. That is sometimes difficult. The team in Bangalore, it's not that difficult because we are all at the same place. But to get the other side, it's a little difficult. Challenges is that, as I said, if the stories may not be groomed enough, that is the biggest challenge. Obviously, it is a challenge for me as a product owner too. So in theory and practice, this is what I do to get my grooming going in an ideal way for the sprint. Yeah. So this is my version of how I go about with the distributed team. Now I'll leave it to the floor. So if anyone has some questions, so I can address that and how I've been handling it.
So we will come to the Q&A part. Let's hear the introduction part of everyone, and then we will get into the Q&A part. I have made my notes, so I might be asking few questions. Other can also do it. So Shivakant, I think we missed your introduction. Let's finish the round of introductory thing, and then we will come back to Shivakant and Shoaikat if things are working good. So Shakshi, you can go ahead and talk about your experience with distributed sprint planning.
Okay, thank you, Saket. So talking about distributed environment, mainly when you're working from India, the main projects that we do, they're mainly outsourced. So distributed teams have to exist. We all understand that, right? Scrum planning, sprint planning, Scrum is, very easy if all people in the team are co-located. But we know that as distributed teams are here to stay, we have to, accept those challenges and try and work towards them. So the different models that I worked in my career for distributed teams are like, to start with, the first one that we generally come across, or I came across, was when the product owner is not co-located with the development and the QA team. So the dev and the QA team are all together working on the product, but the product owner is not co-located. So in such a scenario, it gets very difficult for everyone to, everyone has their own queries, and it gets very difficult for everyone to wait till the end of the day because of the time zone difference and, collect their queries and then share it. So at times the whole day goes. So to bring a solution to it, what we preferred was to have a proxy product owner within the team. So he can have the skills of a business analyst, or a technical business analyst who understands the technology part as well as is the business analyst, so that he can act as a liaison between the dev team and the product owner. So he's supposed to be very close to the product owner, discussing on daily basis whatever queries he has, whatever is the functionality stuff, so that he can help the team during the day when the actual product owner is not present, to help them understand. The second scenario that comes with the teams is when the dev team is distributed. By the dev team, I do not mean only the development team, it means the dev team, the QA, as well as the cross-functional team actually. So if they are not co-located, then what is the scenario? So if the situation is that half the team is at one place and half the team is at one place, suppose half the team is at a client side, is the client's team. So we can have at least one person from India to travel and be, as a coordinator or whatever name we can give at the client side, so that he can act now as a liaison between the client's dev team and his own team. That way it reduces the difference. Now at the time of sprint plannings, in such a scenario, in both the cases that I'm saying, the sprint plannings become easier. How do they become easier? Now, when we're sitting for the sprint planning, one thing is that even if it's co-located, one needs to be very sure that it is time boxed, because that's the biggest challenge that everyone faces at the time of sprint planning. It goes, it extends and extends and extends. So to help it make, time boxed, is everyone needs to be prepared before they enter into the room for the sprint planning. At least do their homework, before they enter. Now with people, who are representatives, like a proxy product owner who's a representative of the product owner, it will make the life of the team easier, because all the discussions can be done then and there. If there is no option of a proxy product owner, then the idea is everyone does their homework, whatever time suits for all time zones, we get into a meeting, but as we have done our homework, we're ready with the questions that the dev team is not clear with, or the product owner is clear with what he needs to ask the dev team to do. So the definition of ready in this place comes into place, that everyone, the stories by the product owner needs to be all chalked out in the tool that is there for everyone to see before the first day of the sprint. So I can't hear you, Saket.
Okay, I was saying that, are you done for this?
Yeah, so this is in short that I can say about the two different models that we worked in. There are more models which can scale the Scrum, but I think we can leave it for now, so that we can concentrate on the two. Yeah.
Okay, so we are just finishing the first round only. So Narendra, you want to talk about your experience? You are muted. You are,
yeah, sure, Saket. Thanks a lot for this opportunity. So I've been kind of working into the offshore and onshore model right now. So I'm not actually the complete Scrum Master for the team, for the teams that we work that I work for the at offshore and the onshore. So there are more, you can say the 70% part of the team is a white level at offshore, and the 30% is at the client side. So it's the client itself is the 30% team. So how it goes, like we have a duration of sprint planning, I mean a sprint for a 1 month. So what we make sure is we make sure that before we start planning the every part of the team, that whether it's a QA or the dev or any business analyst or the SMEs that are going to be part of that can be part of the sprint planning, will be great asset for us. So we make sure that we get the each and every corner of the people in the sprint planning. And how it works is we normally we have backlog items that we pick and see what we can plan for this sprint, complete sprint, and we see what are the available resources that we have for this complete sprints. And so we kind of figure out the capacity of the resources, like individual the capacity of individual resources, so that we can probably find out what is the resource availability for this sprint, and based on the availability of resources we plan the work which is in the backlog, and that should be lie on this particular sprint. So that that way we kind of plan the work according to the availability of the resources. And the plan is done in such a way that we have 6 hours for the actual work, which can be the actual development or the QA, and the 1 hour we actually plan for the backlog grooming. So team, and in our process, team is the person who has to one who has to probably trade their 30 to 60 minutes to backlog grooming, so that team can gather there and kind of do some backlogging and provide the inputs. So that's how it goes.
Yeah. Great. Madhvi?
Yes, Shakib. Okay, so before I share my experience, let me give a quick background of the team. The team had around 6 members. The product owner was working from US. He was from a remote location, and we had 2 members in US and then 4 members in Hyderabad. So the major challenge for us while working in this distributed environment was, first one was, as usual, it's the same thing, the time zone issue, and then one more major challenge was the time boxing, and then the communication part of it, where we cannot leverage the benefit of face-to-face communication to the 100%, and then of course the team dynamics. So let me start off with first how we handle the time boxing and the time zone issue. So as usual, sprint planning, we used to do it in 2 parts. The part 1, the product owner and the development team along with the scrum master, they attend, and we conduct this meeting usually in the overlapping time zones that generally happens in around 6:30 p.m. in the evening. Now the major challenge here was time boxing the planning, because the team members are remote. So what we have done to really help us in the time boxing is doing the grooming sessions meticulously every sprint. So when we do these grooming sessions, because most of the stories are groomed and they are ready, the sprint time boxing was really met. And the other part, the next major challenge is the sizing of the user stories. We generally use planning poco for sizing when the team is co-located, and it was pretty easy if the team is co-located. Now, since it is a distributed team, so we used to initially do, on my go of 1, 2, 3, please tell the story sizing, but that was not really working out, because one team member was getting biased with the story point that the other team member was saying. So soon we did some research and we figured out that there is a very good tool, planningpoker.com online, which is a free tool that can be used for sizing the user stories. So that helped us really a lot. It made our estimation very quick. It reduced the time drastically. And the second challenge is about the face-to-face communication. Yes, this is always there. So we used to use Google Hangout, Skype, and video conferencing as far as possible. And so once we finished the planning part 1 in the evening, the next day the part 2 of the planning was done by the team, the 4 team members in Hyderabad and the two team members in the UX. And then in the next day immediate stand-up, we used to quickly summarize the sprint backlog that we have arrived at and to just see if everyone of us are in sync. So that helped us a lot. So the first day sprint planning took a bit more time because we were summarizing on the sprint backlog, just checking whether every one of us are on the same page. Okay, and then coming to the team dynamics, of course, there's no single right answer or one answer for this. The Scrum Master has to play a very important role. He must spend enough time with the remote team members, maybe talk to them one-on-one over Skype or Google Hangout to check how it is going for them, whether they have any problems and all, and just use his or her best judgment to tackle them. That's all I have. I think I've done with my time box. Saket, you're on mute.
Okay, thank you, Madhvi, reminding me. So Shaikat, we can try with you. If you can speak now, I think you should be able to. We can see your face speaking, but the voice is not coming. Yeah, now it's coming. Yeah, good.
Coming?
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. Just quickly touch upon my intro. I sort of missed that. Sorry for the logistic issue. I'm Shaikat. I've been working for 15 years in IT, which 8 years into Agile practices, working as a practitioner across various organizations in various roles. Currently working as a senior manager in one of the e-com company in Bangalore. I'm good to hear you all. I think we're talking about the same thing in a different way that we have done. I would talk about it the way we have done over here. So I will give you the context. So we have a business sitting out of UK and the architect group too. We have the development team in Bangalore and the UX group in UK. The team context is like we have 2 team, a development team, which we call hybrid team in UK. They're end-to-end team who can do from design to development and put to production. And the 5 teams out here are mixed. Some of them are hybrid, which we said that they can do end-to-end work. Some of them are dependent on UK team where the UX works have happened. So we have a concept-based team where the e-commerce layers or the pages are distributed across those teams, and they're working on those. We have fancy names. We can discuss it later. We have in the interest of time. So the way we do, and we were doing in 2013, we were doing a quarterly release, probably once in or twice in a quarter. And then ask came in with the change in the dynamics of the business and the time asked from the business. We went into a monthly release from 2014 January. So we configured our process to a monthly release of Agile. And the sprint planning came as a major challenge because going traditional way, doing it a day's time, it was not really working out because it's a big platform, big architecture. We came up with a concept, right, when we say that we will have 3-week sprint and a week of hardening, where the hardening week will overlap with the planning week. And the last 2 days of that hardening week will be the core sprint planning, where the entire group of work together, something that we do in Scaled Agile now. And then we get into focus group of discussion, where after understanding the overall concept, so we'll have feature story walkthrough by the POs of all the group, where we'll identify the dependencies on each team. Then we'll have the architect. We'll do an architecture walkthrough, and then we'll understand the architecture, and then we can get into a closed group discussion or a focus group discussion with different teams to understand the dependencies and sort it out, and then get back again on the second day. Or if it's like we don't have any dependency, we'll get back to the normal team and then walk onto it and then get the sprint planning going. Go on for 2 days, and we do it the methodologies that you have called out. What we did as a change, I will touch upon it now. We got big telepresence instruments in our organization, a big TP room and multiple small TP rooms where we can get into a small war room kind of stuff and talk to each other. So it's a virtual discussion meeting where we have high focus on the whiteboards, and we can do whiteboarding and use tickets and get into there, and then move on from there from the planning, and then again reconsolidate on the first day of the sprint on what we have achieved, put in it to Jira or TFS, or we were working on TFS, now moving to Jira and then moving from there. Jira is helping us because now what POs are doing, they're pumping in the user stories into Jira and mapping into the Epic, and then it goes to the further level, high up on the portfolio level. Epic exists, so we have a proper tracking in terms of the overall deliveries, and then it goes through for the sprint cycle. And what we do during the sprint also to have a better understanding of the feature stories, we have sort of committed 2 hours per week, and we factor into our development cycle where we meet POs or the program team or the business team and discuss on the feature story level, and then start the backlog grooming quite early into the cycle. So by the time we hit the last week or the 4th week where the hardening goes in parallel, we have an idea of what epics or what user stories are coming for the next sprint, and then geared up for the right set of question and get it more collaborated. So I mean, a different essence, but it really worked out because initially it was quite tough. Sorry, Saket, I just have to cut it short, but we can discuss it.
Yeah. Great. So what I get from Shaikat and Vaku is that they are talking about some scaled environment, and rest of us are talking about a generic sprint planning where we have a one Scrum team which is distributed out of location. So we can even the questions are coming in, so we may have 2 categories of the questions.
Yes.
One category goes towards scaled and another goes towards generic. So we missed introduction of Ankit as well as Ankit's take on sprint planning in a distributed environment, and we also mixed the Shiva Kant's. So let's start with Ankit. You give your brief introduction and just introduce quickly. Try to talk about things which these guys have not spoken about. So keep the remaining part, and let's move from there. Yes, Ankit, it's your turn.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my name is Ankit, and in total I have 7 years of experience. So I have close to like 4 years of experience as a Scrum Master. I have handled like this is my 3rd experience. This is my 3rd project where I'm working upon right now. So pretty of all the things, I mean, they are covered. I mean, these speakers have already covered so many things. But I just want to quote, or rather, I just want to give one small example of what we do currently in our organization with our teams. So the client that we are handling now, so we have the developers there at the client's end, and we have developers here at our offshore location as well. The product owner is there at offshore. I'm sorry, at onshore, and being a Scrum Master, I take care of the team here. Now, so what we do usually, we actually go ahead and let's say if a sprint starts on Monday, then as you guys mentioned, like we follow 2 level of planning here. So by Thursday evening, we do first level of planning where product owner from onshore with the developers, and I from here, and then one tech guy, the senior developer from here. We group together for an hour. So we discuss like what will be the sprint goal. A product owner walks us through the product backlog, the prioritized items. We define the product, the sprint backlog, and then we see if the definition of ready is met or not, if those stories are ready to be taken into sprint backlog or not. So we go through all these things, high level things. We don't task out there. Because the whole team is not there. But the tech lead that is here from offshore, he tries to ask as many questions as he can. And he tries to figure out major tasks, and then so that he has something to discuss with team when the team comes next day. So that's about it. So that we time box it to 1 hour. And then on Friday, the next day when teams comes in here, what they do, they go ahead and they quickly go through the sprint backlog, they task out their work, and if they still have any questions after the daily stand-up meeting on Friday evening, so I have named it as umpteen in 15. So if you have umpteen questions, you can ask product owner. So just after the stand-up meeting, we have a 15-minute quick meeting with product owner, umpteen in 15, and the team at offshore, they try to ask as many questions as they can. They can still ask those questions next week or whenever they face any issue, but that's the way we go about it. And to make sure, like one of the point was raised here, that because we are we are not co-located and we are geographically dispersed. So to make sure that team is comfortable in interacting with product owner, what I personally do, I have created a wiki page, and in that wiki page, what we have done, we have the team structure, we have the contact numbers of each and every member, including the product owners, and I have taken the printout of that wiki page and I have posted it on the desk of each of the team member. so that everyone is comfortable not only by doing the communication over the emails, but if they are comfortable, if they want to talk to the product owner or any of the team member who is not located here, they can just straight away go ahead and if they see the time is right, they can go ahead and they can call that guy straight away. So that's what we do.
Great, great. So finally, we have the Shivakant, and just introduce yourself and give a quick insight, and then we will take the Q&As. We have good amount of questions, so speakers can look at the Q&A app box. Like there are some questions for Sakshi, Vakku. There are specific questions, and we can categorize them into scaled and non-scaled. So you keep looking at the Q&A site, and it's up to Shivakant.
Yeah. Hello everyone. This is Shivakant, and I have over 10 years of experience. I'm working with a Fortune 500 company now. I've played the role of a Scrum Master, and I'm currently playing the role of a Scrum Master, and also I work with the Agile focus group in our company, training the associates. That's a little bit about me, and pretty much the speakers have summed up what usually happens around the world of Scrum and Scale. There are a couple of things which I would like to talk about, taking a step back. At a basic level, one of the speakers spoke about the logistics part. In fact, we have moved into the Scale framework for the past 2 releases. We have frequent releases of quarterly releases. So in the previous release, so we had a problem where the logistics setup was not run properly, and then we eventually had to wait for more than an hour as those things got sorted out. So one of the key factors that we would consider for any meeting, not only for the sprint planning or any planning meeting as such, but for any ceremonies, especially for the distributed team, that we make sure that that all the logistics part is taken care of, and also we have all the audio, video, and network configurations which are properly set. So that's the basic thing that we normally do. Talking about the planning part, with respect to the Scrum, we normally have 2-week sprints, and we mark out the Tuesdays and Thursdays of the second week of the sprints for our planning meetings, so that we'll have enough time to discuss about any doubts or clarifications that we encounter during those the course of those meetings. And then by the time we start the next sprint, we'll have all the things clarified. And recently we have, as I said, we moved into scaled framework. And then as we know that during the overlap period, with respect to the time zones, we have 2 days marked out for the release planning, which happens at a big bang level, wherein all the stakeholders related to the business and the teams, we storm together, and then we eventually share the business strategies, and then we'll start working out. A couple of observations that from my side about having adopted the scale framework is that within the first 2 days of the release, we will get a big picture about the business and the stories that we will eventually be working on in the next couple of months during that course of the release. That's one of the good things that we have observed, which happens. Otherwise, in contrast to the Scrum model, wherein we have to at every sprint planning that we need to pick up the stories and then start grooming those things. In contrast to that, the scale will give us a big picture of all the stories that that creep across all the sprints, wherein all the team members they get together and then give a estimated high level. There will be some discrepancies, but again we'll have sprint planning meetings again. But the effort that we spend on the sprint planning meetings in the SAFe framework will be far less when compared to the regular Scrum methodology. That's one of the observations.
Great. So do you want to continue or done?
Right. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So now we have like three people from a scaled environment, and rest of us are like rest of the audience, the panelists are from a generic Scrum implementation, which is handled in a distributed environment. So you might have question for each other also. It's not necessary that we take the question only from the audience. So we can even ask a question to each other. So first we are taking the normal distributed Scrum implementation. We are not so first segment is focusing on that. So let's pick some queries. So there was a one question which was for Sakshi. So it was like just like you said that you can have a proxy PO close to the other half of the development team. Will be a good practice to have a proxy Scrum Master as well. I think with the structure, it's more like become like an SOS kind of a Scrum model. This is the question which is asked. So I have selected the question. Maybe Sakshi, you can see it, and you may want to start the answering it, and anybody can pitch in.
Okay. Yeah. So Saket, I don't think that the Scrum Master should be not with the team, because if there are around more than 4 to 5 people who are working together, one of them can step up and play the role of a Scrum Master. So you don't need a person who's very is 10 years experienced or very experienced to play the role of the Scrum Master. Scrum Master can be anyone from the team. So it's always better that if they, even if the teams are development teams are not co-located, even if there are two teams, yes, they can each have a Scrum Master, and they can play have a scrum of Scrum at the end of the day or something like that. But a team should have a Scrum Master if the size is more than 4 or 5. That's my suggestion. For a proxy product owner, yeah, it becomes easier for the team, because it's more in terms of the functional understanding of what the product owner needs and what the priorities are.
Great. So if I take it further, so the context is that you have two teams, and both the teams are having, say, hypothetically four members, and they are cross-functional teams at the location. So it's open for all the panelists. So do you prefer having a Scrum Master for each location, and then these Scrum Master coordinating with each other, rather than the complete team is getting into daily Scrum and doing things? So what are the experiences, advantages and disadvantages?
So I think I'd like to just pitch in here. I think instead of just only the two Scrum Masters collaborating with each other, the entire team on both ends should collaborate and talk with each other, so that they get to know each other's views and all. Because one person communicating on behalf of the entire team, some points may be missed out. At least not daily, make it a point, maybe at least twice or thrice in a week, the entire team, the 4-member team on both locations, see each other, have a quick stand-up over Skype or some Google Talks, so that they know each other and talk to each other. So because when we talk, many unknown things, they come up.
Great. So if go ahead, Sakshi.
Yeah, I was just saying that I agree to Madhvi, but only in the case if the team sizes at both the ends are small. Because if by chance there are two different Scrum teams, each having more than 8-9 people, then the number of people that will be interacting with each other gets a little difficult. So if the team size is 3-4 here and around less than 10 in total, then I totally agree with you, Madhvi, that there should be no bottlenecks, no Scrum Masters, only acting, only discussing with each other, but the complete teams should be discussing. But if the team sizes are big, there should be more of separate Scrum teams, and the discussion.
Great. So what I understand is that we are talking about one Scrum team. So if there are more than one Scrum team, then definitely there should be a Scrum of Scrum, and there should be a skilled implementation. But just for a one Scrum team, so let's come back to the original point. For a one Scrum team who is sharing the one sprint backlog, do we need a location-specific person who updates the burn down chart, who prepares, who removes the impediments, or who highlights the issues which are getting faced in a team? Yeah,
Saket, so I have a couple of things to mention here. Actually, you can say, like, I've been following the same stuff, wherein like 70% part of the team is at offshore, and the 30% part of the team is at in the US. So yeah, so we have like a Scrum Master, only single Scrum Master for the team, but there is a one representative from the offshore team as well, so who will kind of, you can probably, he can probably, you can go to him and he can probably kind of work without and to resolve your issues. And apart from that, actually we kind of have a two to three discussions with the scrum master in the production or a weekly basis, so that if there is anything that we can discuss with the product owner or scrum master, I mean, or you can schedule a unplanned meeting as well with the scrum master and the product owner that can to resolve any query that you are stuck in. So yes, there are a situation and where you can deal based on the situation you are in.
Great. So what I understand from this discussion is that we are recommending that it's good to have one Scrum Master, but there could be a ambassador. That is the term which is usually used when we talk about models. So there could be an ambassador at both their location who represent the part of the feeling of the different location, and that ambassador role can be rotated. And as Sakshi pointed out when she started talking about the distributed Scrum, that there could be a person who is co-locating with the different team at a different frequency. So we may have a representative, and this representative may sometime come to India and then go back, and he represents our feeling to that part. So that is something I think Narendra has also pointed out. Okay, so let's move ahead until unless we have a serious difference of opinion, as we will remain stuck here. Okay, so I am picking the next. So there was a question about how to handle daily Scrum in a distributed team. So I am not taking that question because this would be a separate meeting. So we would be talking about handling daily stand-up in a distributed team as a separate discussion. So I'm not picking it, and I am moving to the. It's a good question. It requires a big discussion, so I am not picking it. I am picking up the different question that what is the preferred Scrum Master on the same location as the developer or the Scrum Master at the both sides. So I think this is something we have discussed it, Atulya, while we were discussing the previous thread. So I am moving forward until unless you have some objection, you can put it across. Okay, so daily stand-up I am not taking. How to handle, nice to hear or to share your experience. What is the general start day of the sprint? Okay, generic question.
Yeah.
As a poll, that when do you start your sprint? Which particular day you start or stop your sprint?
Yeah. So, yeah, I would like to add. Sorry. Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah. So to my idea, right, you should never start a sprint on Monday and end it on a Friday, right? We should always start it midweek. Ideal day would be to start it on Tuesday and end it on Tuesday. It gives you a lot of leverage when you are doing back-to-back release. I would come in from more scale concept when you're doing release planning. It helps out a lot when you are ending a sprint on Tuesday, and then you can factor in a week starting on from Wednesday and then close again on Tuesday. So you can plan your hardening week. You can plan your backlog grooming activities, and then the release as well, on-demand release or the scheduled release. That works out. That have seen and have been working out for us.
Great. Anybody having a difference of opinion, or everybody agrees that we should have a midweek sprint start day? But many times you may find that if the sprint goals are not getting met, then you can put your weekend if it is finishing on Friday and get everything fixed by Monday. So that's an approach. Many times my team comes to me and says that it's better to make a sprint starting as a Monday, so they have a buffer of the weekend, so they can fix if there is some issue during the weekend. So anybody is supporting this idea?
No, Saket, that would defy Agile. It won't be sustainable.
Okay, so
putting your weekends.
And you would have you still have 2 weekends, right? In between, even if you started goals for 3 weeks or 2 weeks, you will have at least 1 or 2 weekends. So you don't need the third one. Yeah.
Okay, so anybody starting the sprint on Monday? Anybody starting the sprint on Monday out of this particular panel, or Madhvi, you have seen some of your team starting sprints on Monday and feeling good about it?
No, I have seen people start on Monday and then end on Friday, but after 4-5 sprints, they feel the pain. Friday, they have to rush, they have to attend planning meetings late, and then they have to do retrospective. So it gets extended. It becomes difficult for them to plan their leaves and all that. So most of them, again, they should back to Tuesday, Wednesday cycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Saket,
yeah.
We do practice Monday to Friday, Obvious reasons here because we have about 7 teams which is running in parallel. So all of us are practicing Monday to Friday. So yes, we would love to have it Tuesday. So that's when you have everyone together. But for now, that is not happening. So we've put forward the request. We'll see if every team agrees to it. Yes, we will go for that.
Great.
And
Yeah.
I have one question towards the proxy PO which we discussed. Do we take it now or later?
You can just let me mark that done, and the next question is about proxy PO only. So let me read it out, and then you can also add your point here. So the question was that that the main challenge of a distributed agile revolves around people, information sharing, and communication, and the project structure. How effective managing distributed agile team? So it's a generic question. So it's a generic question that how effectively we can manage the distributed agile team. I think it would be if the question could be a bit more specific, then we can talk about it. But definitely, if you have a distributed environment, it won't be that effective as you have a co-located environment. So you will be having some text to it. But yeah, as Sakshi pointed out, that the challenge distributed teams are here to stay. So we need to just work out with them. So let's move from this particular question. If something is not complete, please post the query again with some specifics. We will take it. So I'm taking the PO thing first. So do the Scrum team has a multiple POs and one on the offshore and another proxy sitting, one on the onshore and the proxy sitting at offshore? If yes, then how does it work? So that is something like who is responsible for managing the product backlog? So maybe Vaku, you can add to this particular question.
Yes, so I'll just add one point to the question, and then I can answer a couple of things over there. So my question was that now PO being the part of the team, and to bridge the gap between the user stories and the understanding for the team about the user stories. So I'm just really wondering how the proxy PO works. So is he always available for the team? That's one question. And is the scenario such that he pitches in at certain time and the actual product owner comes in at certain time? And now as a team, what do they see? So do they see this proxy PO as a person to go for any clarification or the actual PO? And how often does this happen? Is it very frequent? I'm curious because I just really want to know how is it working out, and if it's working out, and there must be a clear understanding between the proxy and the actual PO. So these are a couple of questions. Now to answer Sakit's question, maybe after Sakshi gives her views on this, and I'll take it forward.
Yeah, so I just want to put some spice to it. So are you trying to say, Vaku, that proxy becomes kind of a postman only, and many times people start avoiding him and they directly approach to a product owner and say that, okay, why to ask him, he will end up asking someone else. So team may start asking directly to the PO. Is that the feeling you wanted to communicate?
Not really, but I basically want to check because if it is working well for a team, there must be some techniques or some ways they have found to get over that part which you mentioned. Obviously, if you don't get answers from PO or the proxy PO, the team will feel that there's no point of going to this person. They will take the route where they get the answers. All the team wants to know is why, and if that why can be answered, yeah, that's where they will go for, I guess.
Sakshi.
Yeah. I can start with explaining what exactly the model was where we've done this, where it was successful. So the model was that the client had the product owner who was on site in US, and there was a team of around 10-11 people, cross-functional team, which was in India. Now the issues came up when it was very difficult for the team to when they had questions during the day at the time of development, as the sprint starts, to small questions regarding the user stories. Now they had to wait for the end of the day, and at time the time was a lot wasted when they assumed some things, they made something, and when they discussed it with the owner, product owner in the evening, they got something else. So what we decided was we introduced a proxy product owner who was supposed to have the complete functional knowledge of the product that is being built. he needs to interact with the actual product owner, a lot, so that he understands and can answer on behalf of the product owner. Now, to do this, we initially, at the time of release planning, the proxy product owner was sent on site to interact with the actual product owner and understand the system very well. So this actually helped us a lot in improving the productivity, because now the development team did not have to wait for the end of the day, or just send an email and wait for the product owner to reply. And at times, if the product owner is busy with some meetings with the stakeholders and other tasks, it goes for a miss. So this proxy product owner ensured that their queries are being answered. So more of I would say 85% queries were answered by the proxy product owner itself. But then we also need to ensure that the team doesn't lose touch with the actual product owner too. So that product owner can be part of have a weekly call at least with the team, so that some things which the proxy product owner cannot convince the team for, or cannot answer properly, they can have discussions with the product owner. So this is how we work.
Yep. So
one
I
question.
hope I'm able to answer the question, Vaku.
I should say yes and no. My question would be then, why not we have the 80-85% product owner answering the question be the actual product owner, and you could scale it up to a different level and have the product owner who is probably with the team for 1 or 2 meetings to be someone who will who can oversee all the product backlogs, but not somebody who would interact with the team on a daily basis. Anyway, you did mention that he doesn't. So
yeah. So
you can consider.
Actually, we need to cut this particular thing. So we got a feel of it, and because see, we have a limited time, and I got few questions over the Twitter and in a backlog pending, which are primarily focusing on scaling. So we have 5-6 minutes. We can even shoot by 10 minutes, but still only 10-15 minutes left. So I wanted to take them. So this offline, maybe we will talk another discussion only on proxy product owner's role. So let's get back to the planning, sprint planning, and the roles which are projected in a sprint planning. So there are a couple of questions, multiple pointing out towards distributed team. So somebody is asking that how do we handle a distributed team where we have a multiple teams working on it. An interesting question which I found on Twitter is that if you have a scaled environment, now say there are 3 or 4 teams, and these teams are managed and run by different vendors. So one software company is taking care of one team, another is taking care of another team. How do you do an estimation? How do you do a coordination when you have such kind of environment? How do you ensure that everybody is talking about the same story point? And what is the experience when the multi-vendor scaled implementation and doing estimation and planning? So again, back to sprint planning, but multi-vendor. Anybody wants to talk about Shaikat, Vaku, or Shivakat? Yeah.
So I will go one point at a time. I think from the story point thing, what we have done, we have 3 vendors working for us. And again, as we all understand, in Indian context, there are limitations that where we might not get all the vendors on the same board to discuss. Sometime yes, sometime no. But one thing that we sorted out, that we went to story point normalization, right? To our extent, the way it's managed, because from the financial standpoint, at the end of it, we have to roll down 2 hours because that's how our budget is being managed. So we got into story point normalization, had a standardized hours multiplication factor, and that got addressed. So now we talk about the same story point and across the team over here and then the vendors. From planning standpoint, right, what we do is not the entire team because they work on a fixed cost mode, and then probably a lot of time we take key members, and that should have tags up to the proxy or proxy SM, whatever we call. They join in with the entire context in the session that we have, as I mentioned, in those 2 days, where we have the entire group talking about it. So we ensure that the key representative for those teams join those meetings either in TP or over a call, or however it's possible, probably on a Skype. and then get the things going so that they get the total context of the feature story walkthrough that we do for the stories or the epics that we pick up, and as well as have as I said that the architecture runway or whatever you call in scale, right? Architecture runway is understood, our architecture framework is understood, and they're taking from there. ASOS for all this team, keep a constant touch with this team. This is the central body or central person who handles all this coordination, ensure that all the inputs from these teams are seeded and manage the dependencies. So to an extent, we do that where the vendor is flexible and open, and they can send the team for 2 days to our location. They do come over for the sprint planning and get into the TP with the core business people. So that's how it goes for us.
Great. Great, and a lot of discussion still going on. One question again on scaling to Vaku, which has come here, is talking about that how do we Agile team handles backlog grooming. You said that you talk to tech leads for grooming, and how do you channel it back to the team? So maybe a product owner is only talking to the tech lead for grooming, for taking the estimation, and how do you coordinate with the team finally?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm not sure if the person who have asked the question knows the background of my project. The tech lead is actually in a remote location. So and I'm a product owner from who's in India. Development team is also in India. So now what happens is obviously the geographic constraints are there here. So I have my regular discussions with the tech lead to basically groom my stories. So I generally don't get into the technical discussion of how to do it or what is the architecture behind it. I get a fair idea about it, but most of the discussions is getting more clarity for the user story. So that's primarily the discussion which I would have with the tech lead. That's one point. And the next item which I give a lot of importance is that we worked in a scale environment. We have a couple of teams running. So on a platform, you have many features. A team is responsible for 1 or 2 features. So all this discussion is what happens, and I generally bring it back to the backlog. That's one point. And the next day stand-up, every stand-up I'm part of it, although the product owner is not a mandate to be present, but I'm present for all the stand-ups and all the tech meetings. So in the stand-up, I'll bring back these discussion into the group, into the team which is located in India. Now we do have every day a tech meeting which happens with the complete team. So when there is a point discussed and there is something which needs to be elaborated, it's picked up in the tech meeting. So if I could just summarize what I said, that I have me as a product owner, I have grooming with tech lead 3 days a week. It's about 45 minutes. We have stand-up meetings in India when we start work, so probably at 9:30 we have it. And we have a tech meeting which happens half an hour with the complete team, including tech lead, everyone, which is about half an hour. So this is a recurring meeting which we have for every day. We do cancel it if there is no discussion required. So this is how I work with the distributed team and how I bring back those details into the team. So we also have a kind of thumb rule which we follow. Any discussions with the team or anything with the features with the team, we have a distribution list. Everybody is part of it. So be it small information, big, and everyone comes in for that.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. The discussion can go long till long, but the time box is about to finish, and we have been following Agile and Scrum. Time box holds a good value for us. So what I recommend is that some of the you can find that Discuss Agile handler. If you search using hashtag Discuss Agile, you will see many interesting questions. People are asking that how do you do an estimation? In which model of estimation you use? Do you still use story point, especially in a scaled environment? How do you normalize your story points? So those kind of queries are still there. I would recommend all of us, all of you, to keep interacting using our handle, the hashtag discuss agile, and you will find many interesting queries there. I see that a lot of interest is coming on scaling, and the scaling makes this distributed Scrum complex. Many of the scale frameworks are recommending not to have a distributed team, but to have teams of team. So they recommend that one team should be co-located only. There could be another team at another location, but they follow the Scrum of Scrum, they follow the release planning, they follow the another layer of coordination, rather than for the sprint planning also they end up doing meetings, and they end up shifting it into 2 days. So many frameworks are recommending not to have that type of distributed team anymore. So any closing comment, Madhvi? I will give you an opportunity to talk about what you feel, because you had heard Shoika, you heard Vaku talking about scale and as well as the normal things. So what do you feel that what can make this sprint planning good? What are the 2-3 things, tips which you feel should be followed?
Yeah, from my side, I think actually first I am really glad to hear the different views of different participants here, the way they have been handling with their teams. My 2 cents would be, first is time box the planning meetings even if they are distributed, and second is involve people as much as possible. If the PO cannot encourage the PO at least to attend the stand-ups maybe once in a week, if he is distributed twice in a week, so that he gets to know what is happening. So those are my 2 cents.
Great. Ankit, you wanna talk for a 30 seconds? You are muted. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So my 2 cents on it would be that yes, it's a challenging job to do. It's a challenging thing to cater. But yes, there are ways to do it. I mean, 2 levels of planning, 3 levels of planning to ensure seamless communication. There are ways to ensure that the communication is smooth and transparent. A team and team PO and the other team at onshore, they are on the same page. So there are ways to do it. I mean, the more we practice, the better we will become at it.
Great. Sakshi, you may wanna close.
Yeah, talking about distributed environment, the best thing that I think what we all can do is communicate. As much as we communicate with the members which are not co-located with us, we get more comfortable to them. The trust increases, and with the increase of trust, the discussions become shorter because we understand each other's languages very well. So they all add to any meeting, sprint planning, anything being more comfortable than anything. So even at the time of the sprint plannings, video conferencing could be a very good option that can be picked up instead of just being over the call, because when you see people, when you can associate voice to face, it becomes easy and to trust each other. And I would like to thank everyone for the discussion. I've really learned a lot from this session.
Okay, Narendra, you wanna?
Yeah, thanks, Saket. Yes, the backlog grooming, one point that I wanted to make there. There's a lot of things that I've heard here, but yes, one of the points that I wanted to say, like what we follow is let give the team a chance to be part of the backlog grooming. Not the more time, at least the 30 minutes, so that people understand the dev and the QA understand how the things are going, so that it becomes really easy for them when they work on it. And as others mentioned, the planning part, yes, planning and how the planning follows and how the sprint goes. Yeah, communication is the biggest thing that plays a biggest role in my. That's what I think. So everyone has to be on the same page, be communicated with the product owner or the scrum master, and try and make sure that everyone on the same page to achieve the milestone.
Yeah, Shaikat.
Yeah, I think 4 bullet points from me. I think it's communication, trust, innovation, and transparency. That keeps the thing going in distributed model. And I second what Sakshi said. When you work with a distributed team in multicultural, trust I've seen is major factor, and you spend some of the initial time of forming the team, especially when you're working with a distributed team. And one thing I think very key one which you brought up, Saket, with the scale environment, we are understanding more and more that Scrum Master is getting into a dedicated role. Each team at different geographies should have a dedicated Scrum Master. The coordinations or the management should be taken by SOS, and then hence it takes up to your different topic. If you talk about scale, we'll go to the next level.
True.
Yeah, thanks
true.
everybody. It's a great learning, and thanks for the contribution. Thank you.
Yeah, Shivakant.
Yep. A few takeaways. We have had problems with the proxy model for the product owners that we have been trying out, and thanks to everyone, I think I can take back some of the points that have been discussed here. The second point, as Sakshi said, communication is the key, and now that we are into scaled, and communication becomes very, very important. For all of us to be on the same page. Yeah, that's my takeaway, and thanks for your opportunity.
Wako, final.
Oh, I'll be quick here because I had most of the talkings earlier. So I would say the answer to why, if you can give to the team, and that's the greatest which you can give, because the more you can answer them why we are doing it, and to answer that why we need many people, could be a business analyst, PO, to be available all time for them, and that makes them easy to communicate and to post a question at any time. So that's it from my side, and thank you very much to Sankit. Sakshi, I probably will contact you sometime later. I just really want to understand how it works. I'm really keen on it, because if it has worked for you, there must be something there. So I want to understand. So we'll take it up later. Yeah.
Definitely, Wako.
Yeah.
You can contact me.
Yeah, and good if you can contact via Twitter, so all of us can also know what's going on. So let's keep the osmotic communication going on and use that hashtag discuss agile. So even we may jump into it. We want to do this kind of handout on a regular basis. As of now, I have thought of a frequency of 1 month. So you can suggest the topic for the next hangout. If you wanna play with the frequency, also come up. Anybody who is listening to this particular video can also suggest the topic for the next hangout. For 1 week, we would be picking up the ideas. So use the Twitter. So put the Twitter hashtag discuss agile, and that is the point which we would be taking. My takeaway, I think various models, and it all depends upon the context, because in my interaction with the professional, I feel that the way teams organize drives the model. So if you have like the Narendra was talking about, his team is 70-30. So it makes things more complex, because there are developers sitting here, there are developers sitting there. Some models where only PO is on site, so it reduces some level of complexity. So depending upon the model, depending upon the time zone they are in, because in some cases I have seen 3 time zones comes into the picture. Somebody is in US, somebody in Australia, somebody is in India. So that creates a lot of mess. So context does play a role, but definitely we can pick up the ideas which have been discussed in this particular forum, and we will keep discussing it our various channels. So thanks for joining in, and we are also organizing a 1-day conference, a 2-day conference in Delhi. It would be on Agile. So anybody who wants to speak can propose their talks, and it would be on 30th June and 14th June. So that's all from me now. Thank you for joining in, and just keep interacting over Twitter, and hope to see you next month soon.
Yeah, pleasure, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.
Good night, guys.